Hey everyone! Today I wanted to talk about relic light farming in 2022. This is specific to the Zodiac weapons from A Realm Reborn and applies to both the Novus to Nexus upgrade and the Zodiac to Zeta upgrade. Since we saw some low-level dungeon updates in 6.1, I figured I should go back and test to see if the previously recommended dungeons were still the best options. Couple disclaimers, I did not run every single ARR dungeon for this, nor did I run every sub 50 dungeon. I picked 8 sub 50 dungeons to test this time around based on my previous experiences with them, the changes brought about in 6.1, and recommendations online. Dungeons like Sunken Temple of Karn, Cutter's Cry, and Stone Vigil just did not seem worth testing since I know they will likely take more than 4 minutes in my experience, and they also did not see any changes in this last update. I ran these tests on my eye level 503 warrior with the relic equipped, as that's the job I'm currently light farming on. I am a very bad warrior, and I am nowhere close to best in slot and gear, so your mileage may vary in regards to the exact times for these dungeon runs. Certain jobs will move faster and kill things faster, especially if you're wearing better gear than I am. I will also say light farming is better with more people. I usually run with a friend, which cuts down significantly on time. If you have someone willing to go with, I'd take advantage of that. We're talking about a whole minute being cut off of Tamtara, just because one of you can kill mobs while the other one is interacting with the items, instead of doing both yourself. That said, light farming on your own is still easily doable, and do not be deterred if you don't have anyone to go with. Just pop on some YouTube and enjoy the mindless grind for the shiny weapons. Another thing to be aware of are bonus windows. As far as I know, there isn't anywhere currently tracking what dungeons are in bonus. Maybe there's some relic Discord somewhere that keeps tabs, but I'm not privy to that knowledge. Any ARR dungeon will give Brilliant Light when it's not in bonus, which is why we run the low-E dungeons instead of the higher level ones. It's much faster for the same amount of light. When in bonus, they'll give Blinding Light, which is twice as much light. This means that when not in bonus, you'll need about 42 runs of a dungeon to finish light farming. When it's in bonus, you'll only need 21. If you're Mahatma farming, it'll only take 1 bonus dungeon run to fill your Mahatma, instead of the 2 required when the dungeon is not in bonus. Depending on how productive I'm feeling, I'll usually just pick a few dungeons to test for bonus, and then go from there, depending on what I find. Bonus windows reset every 2 hours, so keep an eye on your notification of light earned at the end of the dungeon when you're nearing the top of the hour. Another quick thing is that don't forget, once you kill the final boss, you can just hit your Duty Finder shortcut button, mine is the U button, and leave the dungeon. Even if you're swarmed and being ping-ponged around, as long as the final boss is dead, it'll let you leave the dungeon. This is definitely what helps to keep the runs short, as killing extra mobs is just wasted time. Please don't take a shot anytime I say interactables. I don't know what other word to use to describe the things in these dungeons. Alright, so for this video, I ran 8 dungeons: Sastasha, Tamtara, Copperbell Mines, Halatali, 1,000 Maws of Totorak, Hawk Manor, Aurum Vale, and Zemel Darkhold. Whew, what a mouthful. I'll post my times up on the video here. I only ran these guys one time for this video, but I have enough prior experience to know that these are fairly standard times for these dungeons. First off, do not run Copperbell Mines for light. I had hoped that the changes would have made it more worth it, but my run took 4 minutes and 39 seconds, which is at least a minute longer than every other dungeon on the list. If it's the only dungeon in bonus, it might be worth it, but Aurum Vale is so fast that this is debatable. Secondly, definitely do not run Zemel Darkhold for light. This one was initially not even on my to-do list, but I saw people recommending it when I was googling for light windows. Do not run this one. It is way too long, even with friends. The pads that you have to stand on throughout the fight just add way too much time. Even Copperbell is better than Zemel. Do not subject yourself to this one, not even if it's in bonus. Hawk Manor is definitely a better option now that they added the return portal after the second boss, even with the interactables, and remember, you only need 2 tiny keys for the whole dungeon, so don't waste your time picking up any more than that. 1,000 Maws is not a bad one after the 6.1 changes. It's much more streamlined, and they removed all the interactables and the sticky goop that would slow you down. There are still gates that require you to kill all the mobs before they open, but it doesn't really add much time at all since there's only like 6 mobs per gate. Halatali has a lot of interactables, but it's still pretty fast due to how few mobs there are in the entire dungeon. You can also skip most of the mobs on the run to the first boss as long as you're quick about interacting with the fire pyre to get out of dodge. Tamtara and Sestasha all have a lot of moments where you have to stop and pick up keys or touch orbs, which require you to kill any mobs chasing you, and boy, are there a lot of mobs in this dungeon. This can be pretty annoying, so I'd really only recommend these two if you have a friend running with you to split the effort, like one goes to a door, the other goes to the other door. It's just a lot. The overall time difference between these 5 dungeons isn't very much, but certain aspects can get kind of tiring after a few runs, and the less interactables, the less focus is required while you're grinding the life away, which means it's just a better time in my opinion. That said, I really only recommend running these guys if they're in bonus, because Autumnvale is still the king for light farming. I know. Autumnvale is the smelly, icky, bad dungeon, I agree, but stay with me here. Autumnvale is an entire minute or more faster than any of these dungeons, which adds up when you have to do about 47 dungeon runs. It shaves off almost an entire hour, if nothing is in bonus, of course. If you manage to find an Autumnvale in bonus, honey, you just hit the jackpot. Wow, go get a lottery ticket, you are having a great day. My solo runs of Autumnvale are usually about 2.5 minutes. When I run with a friend, we regularly hit the 2-minute mark or less. And the best part of Autumnvale, which is something I never thought I would ever say, is that you have no interactables or things to stop and pick up. You have to essentially only kill 6 mobs to finish the entire dungeon. The 3 bosses and the 3 large morbals to open the gates. If you get an Autumnvale in bonus, you can finish the entire light farm in under an hour. And it's still under 2 hours if it's not in bonus. I'll put up the calculations for average time to finish your light farming by dungeon with and without bonus on screen now. Ooh, another mouthful. Sorry, I didn't know how to make this very pretty looking. As you can see, Autumnvale is significantly better than anything else when nothing else is in bonus. It's barely even worse than the other dungeons when they are in bonus, and it's not. Crazy that such a stinky place can be such a goldmine for light. Guess everything is good for something, except Stone Vigil Hard. I see almost no positives in that place. Overall, the recommendations are more or less the same as before the 6.1 changes, but it did bring a few more dungeons into the category of worth it, but only with bonus. Autumnvale is still the top tier and best option in my opinion and experience. As I said earlier, your mileage may vary depending on what job you're running and if you have friends with you, but AV will likely always come out on top unless something else is in bonus. Avoid Copperbell and Zemmel. I'm not sure why they were previously recommended, but definitely scratch them off the list going forward. Thank you guys for watching. Are there any dungeons that you think I should have tested? What's been your go-to for light farming? Please leave a like, maybe a comment, maybe even subscribe if you want. I put out 2 videos a week relating to various games, mostly Elden Ring lately, but that should be changing as it releases its addictive grip on me. If you have any other relic tops that you like, if you have any other relic topics that you'd like videos on, let me know. Most of what I do in Final Fantasy is relic farming related. Currently trying to finish up the last 5 Zodiac weapons, which are all unfortunately on book phase. Ew. Then I'll be getting back to the Eureka Pagos grind to finish that Snowy Nightmare up. Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!